Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can see me and that I'm not too cockeyed. I hope everyone's doing well. And I will kill time for another minute or two in case anyone's joining us a little late and get started in just a second. Don't forget your water. Oh, there's a few more. I will stall another minute. Good morning for anyone who just showed up. So again, we're going to do chair Pilates and some stretching. Today felt like a good day to slow down even more and really take our time with every exercise that we're going to do today. Really taking time to step back from everything else that's going on and just focusing inward on our body and how we're feeling at work, where we're feeling at work, so that we can be more in tune with what's going on for ourselves, our physical selves, as much as our mental and emotional selves. And remembering to breathe. We're also going to focus a little more on the deep core today, so not just the lower abdominals, but the hips, the glutes, everything in the seat of the pelvis, and some twists to kind of help bring out the spine a little bit. So we're going to be far more focused on our torso and our core than, say, our limbs, our legs, and our arms today. All the more reason to remember to breathe, and I'll try to remind you throughout. A few other reminders, or first time for anybody who's watching this video as the first one or joining us live for the first time. I will probably switch back and forth between sitting facing forward and facing sideways so that you can see as best as I am able to demonstrate some of what's going on, but you don't need to flip-flop, so don't worry about that. Pilates is always a very slow and controlled movement. Even when we maybe pick up pace, the idea of keeping it controlled and centered is very important. And so it's really what you make of it. You can put a little less effort into things if you need a break, but also you can really fully engage your muscles and think about your energy radiating out, and that helps kind of build a little more out of this slow and controlled process. Your core is always engaged, but you always want to leave room for breath. And like I said, today we're going to take it a little extra slow, so extra time to kind of remind yourself of all of that. Did I hear a little ping? Did somebody say something? Okay. And with that, we'll actually get started. So we're going to take a moment just to sit with alignment. I will turn sideways. Again, you might find it easier to sit more towards the front of your chair. A lot of chairs kind of tilt back and put you into a less aligned space. You want to make sure you're sitting firmly on both sits bones, the bottom of your hip bones, your pelvis. Your thighs are along the back of the chair. You can't see my feet right now, I know, but both feet are planted firmly on the floor. And letting your shoulders relax away from your ears. Imagining that your head is just kind of gently being lifted along your spine. And starting here, just taking 3 deep breaths. Another one. See if you can notice on your exhale that your abdominals begin to contract to support that lift in your spine. From here, drop your chin towards your chest. Just let the weight of your head pull the back of your neck out a little bit. Take another deep breath. And then we're going to take slow, gentle circles around one direction. Take a second pass. And the next time your chin reaches your chest, you can reverse direction. The next time your chin reaches your chest, bring your head back to neutral, looking forward. Bringing the shoulders up and rolling them back. Trying today to make the fullest circles you can with those shoulders, really taking up some space. Continuing to take some deep breaths and reverse direction. One more shoulder circle to the front. We're going to start warming up our spine since we're going to be using it a lot today. So either putting your hands on your knees or at the sides of your thighs, which we do sometimes in Pilates to kind of help give us a little additional support. We're just going to do basically cat-cow if you're familiar with yoga. You're going to take a deep breath in. From here, as you exhale, you're going to allow your back to round. You're going to allow your pelvis to tilt back so that your tailbone is reaching a little more towards your chair. And as you inhale, I want you to imagine lifting your sternum towards the ceiling. So it's going to come a little further forward of your shoulders, give it a nice little stretch. A little lift in the chin without letting your head fall backwards. And the same. So every time you exhale, rounding and inhaling to lift. You don't have to go very far. This is just to get the spine warm. And as you keep going, and certainly stay with your own breathing pattern. If you need to slow it down, speed it up. But see if you can truly connect this to breath so that your deep core, these deep muscles here, are what's initiating every movement. So as you inhale, your chest expands, and as you exhale, engage and curve and round. A few more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, contract. Last time, inhale, lift. Exhale, contract. And bring your spine back to neutral. We're going to breathe our arms in and up. And simply flip the palms over, and as if you've got resistance, you're pushing against something, you're going to press them down. So you're sending energy out through your fingertips. You're engaging the muscles in your arms as if there was resistance there. And exhaling. Breathing in and up. Exhale, push. Inhale, up. Exhale, push. Inhale, up. Exhale, push. Continue sitting tall. Check in with your alignment. Make sure that your lower abdomen is supporting your lower back. Inhale, up. Exhale, push. Two more. Inhale, up. Exhale, push. Last one. Inhale, up. Exhale, press down. And release. Let it go loose and soft. All right, we're going to finish our very beginning warm-up with the half roll down, which if you've been with me for the last couple of weeks, we've done before, but I'm going to talk you through it again today, particularly since I'm not the best demonstrator. You'll probably hear me talking a lot more than I might otherwise. I'm going to turn my chair sideways again. Hopefully you can see me. So in a half roll down, we're going to start with our inhale. As we exhale, we're going to allow these deep abdominals, again here, to contract. So it's almost as if somebody were going to try to poke you in the belly button and you didn't want them to, or poke you in the space just below your belly button and you were trying to pull away from it deeply. So pulling your chest away doesn't help you get away from that finger, but pulling in those deep abdominals, curving and contracting, letting the pelvis rotate a little bit will help you do that. Lifting, imagining that your abdominals could lift in and up, almost like a cartoon, away from that finger. That is going to allow your pelvis to tilt and there to be a slight round in your lower back. And what you don't want is for your shoulders to follow, which is very hard for me not to do at this point, but I'm going to try my best. From there, you can, if you'd like, take a slight lean back. So you're not going to sit stiff back and then lean back. That's putting a lot of pressure on your lower back right here. You're going to allow that tilt to happen and then take the whole torso at once as one unit and let there be a little lean. And then we can come back to sitting. So we're going to inhale, exhale with a contract and a lean, and inhaling it up. Another thing that helps is imagining the energy going out through the ends of your fingertips as you lean back and as you come forward. That downward energy just past our knees kind of helps keep our spine up top long and keeps us from collapsing and dropping our hands. So we're going to do 10 of these half roll downs. Take a deep breath in, exhale, contract with a lean, and inhaling up. And 2, and up. Contract, 3, and up. And up. You might find that you can go a little further, especially if the back of your chair is not stopping you. Feel free. However, if just working on this contraction and lengthening is enough for you, then please do that. Two more. Last one. Keep this engaged the whole time. And up. It might not look like much, but if you're really keeping these deep abdominals engaged, you should be feeling it. You should be noticing that there's work going on there. I'm going to turn back to you. We're going to do arms. We're going to switch to arms, and then we're going to go into more of our deep core work, maybe warm up the legs a little bit. But really spending a lot of today on the spine and the core. I say core. I don't have one anymore. From here, we're going to take a deep breath in. We're going to raise our arms to the front. And as you exhale, same as when we did earlier, you're going to press the arms down and continue to press to the back as far as you're able without kind of leaning forward into it. So you're just pushing your range of motion. So inhaling to lift up. And exhaling to push down. Keeping it slow, inhaling up, not letting your chest and your ribs release to spread, but really keeping everything aligned. It should be isolated to just those shoulders and those arms. Up. So a lot of the work here is in checking the range of motion in your shoulders. And if we allow our ribs to kind of open and our chest to splay, we cheat and we don't get that stretch and that range of motion. Exhale, push. Inhale, lift. Exhale, push. Inhale, lift. Exhale, push. Inhale, lift. Exhale, push. Checking in that you're still keeping those abdominals lifted, your belly button moving in and then up towards your spine. Exhale, push. Last one. Inhale, up. Exhale, push. And release. From here, we're going to do a side stretch. So you're going to keep both hips anchored in the chair. And actually, I've been doing this with a cushion in the chair, but it makes it really hard for me to know if I'm exactly in my chair the way I want to be because it's a little lumpy and it throws me off my kilter. So pardon me, I'm going to be a good example and get rid of that so that I know what surface I'm sitting on, really. And I can really be aware of if my pelvis is tilting or straight. So you're going to plant both feet on the floor, knees in alignment with hips. You can either use both arms, as I'm going to do, or one arm down and one arm up. I'm going to bring the arms up. We're going to lean towards the side, letting the stretch happen along the ribs, keeping these ribs open as well, anchoring this hip down. If you notice that this hip starts to pull off and tilt and you've got more pressure in one hip than the other, then don't take your stretch any further and really think about dropping that hip, anchoring it back to the ground. And up, other side. And up. If you need to modify it by dropping the arm in the direction that you're going, you may do that. It helps give you a different counterbalance and also relieves some of the work that your arms have to do. If in fact you find that they're already getting a little tired because they've got more work to do today. And tilt. And up. Keep these arms energized. Length through the fingers and the arms. And up, pull your shoulders down away from your ears. Last one. And up. All right. Let's see. I'm going to catch up with myself here. Doing a little thinking. From here, we're going to move back into some more arm work. We're going to breathe our arms up. We're going to bring them down to right angles at our sides. So we want to try to keep our elbows in line with our shoulders. Palms are flat. Our arms are going to come forward, trying to get your palms, your entire forearm down to your elbows to kiss, and opening them back up. Exhaling them together, and open. Trying really hard to keep those elbows up and not letting them sink, but really up there at right angles in alignment with your shoulders. And open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale. Exhale, close. Exhale. Inhale. Two more. Last one. And open. Break them down. So that's really all the work we're going to do, concentrating on the arms today. So we're just going to give them a little roll out and stretch because we want to move more into this core work that I want us to focus on today. So we're just going to gently roll out first the shoulders. Then we're going to take our elbows back in a circle. And then following the same circle, our whole arm is going to go backwards. And then we'll reverse the whole thing. So our arms come over, our elbows come forward, and our shoulders come forward. And reverse. Our shoulders roll back, elbows roll back, arms roll back, and arms come forward, elbows come forward, shoulders come forward. Last time. Shoulders back, elbows back, arms back, and arms forward, elbows forward, shoulders forward. All right. Take a moment to take a breath, resettle with yourself, check in, see if you've started holding tension anywhere. I think I said this in our first week, but when I first started Pilates, I didn't really like it because I felt like I was getting tense. And I really had to do some work about that there was a difference between holding my core and holding everything so tightly. So take a moment to relax, take a breath, get a drink of water if you need one. All right, we're going to take just a moment to pay some attention to our hips. we're going to take that same idea of, as we exhale and the abdominals contract, they're going to kind of lift up and along the spine, scooping in, and create some space for our thighs. And as we exhale, we're going to lift our leg. You can use your hands to help if you like, and extend it. You can extend it on its own. You can support the back of the thigh with your hand if you'd like to a little bit, or you can simply, let me tilt this down, keep it a little lower towards the floor. And we're going to do some isolations in our hip sockets, rotating our hips. So we're going to take a deep breath in, exhaling to bring the knee up, extending the foot out, holding it or not. And from here, I know it's hard to see because my foot is actually in the way. You're going to rotate from your hip the whole leg. So my knee and my toe are now facing out and everything's facing up. So the leg is turning as a whole unit and up. Nothing would move if it weren't for the fact that I'm rotating from my hip. My hip joint is doing this, not my knee, and certainly not my foot. It's not waving hello. So we're going to do that 10 rotations out and in on each side. Actually, you can probably see it better on my arm than if I do it from my shoulder versus waving my hand hello. Same idea in our legs. So sitting tall. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Leg up and extend. Rotate out and in. 2, 3, 4. If you realize you need to lower the leg, you certainly can. 7, 8, 9, 10. Bring it back in first. Hold on to that knee, let the leg relax, and down. Ooh, I'm not quite facing you just right. Other leg, take a deep breath in. Exhale. Bringing the leg in and up. Extending. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, drop the leg if you need to, 7, 8, 9, 10 from the hip. Bring it back in and up. Hug it into your stomach, your chest. If you can go further than I can, great. Let that thigh relax and put it back down. I'm trying to center myself a little better. Okay, from here, I'm actually going to turn to the side. I'm going to readjust my laptop again in just a second. We're going to do some spinal twists. I'm going to turn this way. Again, remembering that your feet are always planted firmly on the floor, and your knees are going to try to stay in alignment with your hips. So no kind of closing and opening. We're not doing the Charleston. That is part of the work that your core has to do to keep you stable. It's also keeping your legs in alignment. You're working on your hips as well. And tilt back up so you can see my face, hopefully. From here, we're going to start sitting nice and tall in alignment, not puffing up the chest, but certainly keeping the shoulders down and back, the head lifted. Breathing the arms to the front. All you're going to do is anchor those hips as you exhale. Twist to open. As you inhale. And exhale and bring it back. Inhale, open. Exhale, bringing it back. Now I'm going to pause here and show you, as you open, don't let that hip start to rotate in the chair with you. Simply take your spine as far as it can go. If that means that your arm can only go to the back corner, that's great. If you feel like you can rotate a little further and get closer to the back wall, wonderful. Your eyes are going to follow your fingertips and exhale and bring them back front. All right, let's continue. Inhale and open. Exhale. Inhale to twist. Exhale. Remembering that every exhale is a chance to check on the engagement of your abdominals. If you're keeping yourself supported in your core. And at the peak of each twist, check your hips, that they're really working in opposition, that those knees aren't starting to open right along with that arm. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. One more each side. And exhale. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Wonderful. From here, we're going to do a stretch over our thighs. I am not the best demonstrator of this one. I cannot go very far. But rather than releasing over your thighs, which sometimes we do as a stretch, I really want you to think about reaching your hands towards your toes with a long back. Now, that also doesn't mean sticking out your tailbone and letting your lumbar spine go. You're really going to keep this whole torso, keep your abdominals engaged to help support your lower back. We're going to reach forward towards our toes. From here, you're going to plant one hand, if you can. If not, you're simply going to keep that reach strong and twist up towards the ceiling. Now, the same as in our last twist. Don't let this thigh start to sneak open and this knee open along with the arm. You're going to work to keep that leg in alignment and drop it. And twist it open. And drop. Again, if you can place a hand on the floor, I would encourage you to do so. I simply can't go that far forward anymore. And bring it back down. And inhaling it up. And bring it back down. One more twist each direction. We're going to hold it for 3 breaths. Checking that the thigh is staying where it should be and bringing it back down. Last twist. Two breaths. Third breath. Bringing it back down. Now you can let your spine release. Give it a nice little hang. Drop your head and slowly roll your spine back up. Okay. Hopefully you're starting to feel warm through here, kind of stretched out, wrung out, and twisted. I'm going to move back to face you for a moment. We're going to move into some more focus on the core, which is what I've been wanting to get to. But all of this is modifiable. So with every exercise, I'm going to try to remember to give you a few different ways to do it based on your comfort level. The other thing I want to say is that as we're working on our core strength, sometimes we start to notice that our back is doing a little more work than it should, and so it gets sore or something feels like it's pinching. And if that's the case, come back to that nice neutral spine, take a few deep lengthening breaths, and then go back again, really by engaging the core first. So I don't ever want you to push through something that feels uncomfortable. And we're going to be doing a lot of core work, so you might even find that you just need to kind of give that a break and a rest and come sit up tall again and then re-engage, and that's fine too. You'll probably see me do that also. And the first thing we're going to do is called a 100. It traditionally happens on the mat, but we're going to do a modified version in the chair. We're going to start with the half roll down that we've practiced already. So as we exhale, letting that lower spine and pelvis tilt just enough to give us a little roundness in our lower back. And from there, taking a gentle lean backwards. So the whole torso leans back at once, not collapsing backwards through the spine. You're going to reach forward with those arms, turn the palms down, and from here, your hands are going to do tiny little pumps. Boop, 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 boop. It kind of makes your whole body want to bounce a little bit. The idea being that you're going to try to keep this engaged and holding us in a slightly tilted position while these pump, getting some more circulation going. We're going to inhale for 5 pumps and exhale for 5 pumps, and that counts as 1. And we're going to do 10 sets, which equals 100, which is why it's called the 100. So I'll keep counting. Hopefully I'll get it right. And if you need to kind of sit tall and take a break or drop your arms and take a breath, that's fine. So take a deep breath in. Exhaling, rolling back, leaning back, not letting your shoulders collapse, keeping the rest of your torso nice and long and strong. And here we go. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, out. 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, out. Last set. And bring it back up, sit tall, drop the arms. We're going to keep using that half roll down because that puts us in the space of our deep abdominals needing to stay engaged to prolong how long we're asking them to work. So it's like holding a crunch almost, but hopefully in a protected way where your lower back is a little rounded and the rest of your spine is still long and held and there's room to breathe. We are going to do another half roll down by reaching past our knees. Take a deep breath in, exhale, contract to allow us to rotate under, lean back slightly. From here, we're going to do those thigh lifts that we've worked on, but instead of sitting up between each one, we're simply going to keep going. So we're going to thigh lift and grab the knee, and grab the knee. That's 1. We're going to go for 10. 2, 3. The whole time you are still in this contracted, gently leaned position. If you need to sit up out of it and take a break, you can. Otherwise, keeping nice and long through the upper spine, keeping the head lifted. 7, either 6 or 7. I might be cutting it short. 8, 9, checking that your abdominals are engaged, pulling in and up, scooping, and sitting up. Take a deep breath right away. We're going to go right back into that half roll down. Take a deep breath in, exhale. With a lean, not a collapse. From here, we're going to pull one knee up. That leg is going to extend out long at an angle towards the floor while our arms go overhead. We're going to scoop that knee back in and up and put it down, staying in this engaged lean back position. In, out, scoop it up, put it down. Staying here, in, out, scoop it up and put it down. Again, if you need to take a break and sit tall to do this, you can still feel those deep abdominals work, I promise you. But if you want to deepen that work, put it down. In, out, and then keep that contracted, gentle lean backwards. In, out, in, put it down. Keep going. And down. In, last time. Down. Sitting tall. Taking a deep breath. Whew. We're going to take it into a bit of a stretch. There's 3 ways we can do this stretch. I'm going to show you each of the 3 ways. You can either take a deep breath in, take an exhale, scoop, lift in and up, lift that knee and extend it. Whoop. Taking your opposite hand and reaching for the toe. You can support the back of the thigh with the same arm as the leg. Or You can lift that knee, extend it, and simply working on, let me turn sideways. On a good extension through the thigh, trying to sneak it straight while supporting the back of the thigh. Again, being careful not to let yourself kind of sink and roll back to create room, but really thinking about sitting tall, shoulders down, and making the stretch happen. The third way you can do this, if that is either a lot of work in your thigh or you just don't have that range right now, is simply to extend the heel out onto the floor. And you're going to reach for the toe with the opposite hand. So again, keeping that long spine, almost as if you're going to take your chest forward and reaching for that opposite toe, rather than curling over to reach for it. So keeping that long spine in whatever position you take. That's it. So take a deep breath in. Exhale. Knee up. Now, you can extend through the toe by holding the back of the spine, or simply by putting the toe on the ground and reaching for it with your opposite hand. Take a few deep breaths here. Bringing it back in and down. Other leg, if you haven't done it with me already, bring it in and up. Extend. I'm not the best picture of a long spine, but keep fighting for it. Bring it in and put it down. I'm going to turn back to you. We're going to use that same idea of the thigh lift, that you're simply doing it from your hip, from the underneath even of your thigh. If you could imagine that someone was going to come behind you and scoop up your leg for you and just go whoop and lift it rather than kind of clenching and fighting to get it up there. Part of what helps with that, of course, is deeply engaging those abdominals. We are going to use those thigh lifts in conjunction with the twist. So think of it almost if you were going to lay on the floor and do, those bicycle crunches that we see everyone do. It's sort of like a modified version of that. You are going to bring your arms up. You can bring your hands to the back of your head or not even touch it, but please do not actually grab it and then jerk your head around. So it's there just to kind of have a reference point, but certainly not to give any sort of pressure in either direction. And from here, as you twist to the side, this time the opposite knee, the direction that you're twisting in, is also going to thigh lift. Now you might not be able to go that far, particularly if you're working on keeping your thigh to the front, rather than letting it open out with you, which is exactly what you want to do, is to keep this thigh in place while you twist in opposition to it. We're not trying to take our elbow down to our knee. We're simply twisting up top and thigh lifting at the bottom. So no crunching down, keeping everything nice and long. I have very little room, and you might be able to both twist and lift further than I can, and that's wonderful. And if you are with me in this, then welcome, and we'll do this together. So bring the arms in and up. Hands by the heads. Take another deep breath in. Exhaling for the first twist. And back. Exhale. Inhale, front. Nice and slow. Keep going, breathing. Exhale. One more each side. Up. And up. That one is a little rough for me, but also feels wonderful to kind of twist out that spine get things moving in opposition, bring out some of the internal stuff that's just kind of been sitting dormant while I've been in my house for the last week. So I'm going to do a time check real quick. Take a breath, take a drink, shake it out. Perfect. I'm also going to take a drink. A few more kind of half stretch, half exercises, and then we're going to move to standing, and mostly just to do some gentle stretching while standing today. Nothing too crazy. So the first thing I want you to do actually is just to take a deep breath in, and without much thought to form at all, you're going to let the weight of your head bring you forward and round yourself down until you can lay over your thighs as far as you can go. I'm not going to go very far. Let the weight of your head pull you down one vertebrae at a time. And simply hang over and give yourself a little rounded stretch. Let the weight of your head pull you down. Let the weight of your arms pull you down. You can go as far as you like. If you can't go very far, that's fine. And on an inhale, slowly stacking the spine back up, one vertebrae at a time from the bottom. So rounding it back up slowly. Till the head is the last thing to arrive, nice and tall. Take another deep breath. We are going to do one more exercise with this half roll down, this contraction with a gentle lean while keeping the chest lifted, the chin off the chest. And once we do that, this is kind of a half of a stretch. It's really about holding a position that we're in and using that time while we're held there to really check in with, where am I engaging from? Could I engage more deeply in the abdominals? Am I letting myself sink in? The same way that maybe while you're holding a yoga pose, you'd be really thinking about your alignment and kind of adjusting and working even while you are, in theory, still. We're never completely still. Everything's always moving and adjusting and breathing and pumping and flowing. So we're going to use this as a time to do that. If you find that you've been in this position too long and you need to take a break and go back into it, please do. I think we're going to do it twice on each side, just to give us a chance to try it out and then try it again with the adjustments we'd like to make. So maybe I'll turn sideways again so that you can see me. We're going to do the half roll down with the lean. Notice again, I am slightly rounded in the lower back to protect it, but I'm not collapsing. I'm keeping the chest lifted. From here, we're going to do a thigh lift. Now this might be enough, or simply holding this position might be enough for you, and that's fine. From here, we're going to go in stages. So this might be as far as you go, or this might be as far as you go, holding behind the thigh, letting this leg be extended into kind of a tabletop, or reaching for that toe with both arms, using this core to keep you engaged, holding that position. I need a little extra support today. And from here, returning in opposition. So if you're here, bringing your hands to the thighs, then bringing the leg in, then putting the thigh down, and then bringing yourself back up. We're going to do the opposite leg now. Take a deep breath in, exhale, crunch, lean, bringing the knee in and up, extending the leg if you'd like. If this is enough for you, stay here, really working on what it means to scoop those abdominals in and up to support from your deep core. If you'd like to let go, please feel free. You really have to use those abdominals. I don't have many of those left. So, thigh support. Concentrating, are my shoulders sinking in? Am I sinking back into my chair? Are my lower abdominals scooping in and up along my spine, keeping my spine long but engaged? Am I breathing? Dropping the knee, Dropping the thigh. Bringing ourselves back up to sitting. One more time each side. We're going to hold each one for 3 breaths this time. Inhale. Exhale. Find your stop along the train, whatever that might be, and 3 deep breaths. Bringing yourself back. Last one. Deep breath in. Exhale. 3 deep breaths. Bringing yourself back. And exhaling. All right, we're going to leave the chair and stand up for a few minutes. So, again, you can use the chair for support as much as you need. If you need both hands, if you just want it off to the side of you so that you can touch it if you need it. We're going to take a moment to stand with alignment. So again, thinking about letting our tailbone drop towards the floor, keeping our shoulders down away from our ears, keeping our abdominals engaged so we're not tilting our pelvis forward, but rather keeping a more neutral spine. I'll work this way. And from here, continuing to breathe, we're going to do toe heel rocks. I'm going to tilt this down so you can see a little better. You can simply use this as a test of balance and bring yourself a little forward on your toes and a little back on your heels. Whoops, I went too far. Forward and back. Or you can use this more as an exercise for your ankles and your calves and really raise up onto your toes and then shift back into your heels. Toes, heels. Now what I will caution you about is not jamming back in your knees when you do your heel rocks or tilting the pelvis forward, or rather tilting your body forward, but really just doing a little shift backwards, keeping the pelvis more neutral. Check in with your breath. Make sure you're still breathing. Last one. And stop. All right, I'm going to bring my chair back to the front. Tilt it back up to the top so you can see me a little better. Hopefully that's not too far. It might be a little bit. From here, standing with that same stable, equal stance with our knees under our hips, in alignment with our knees, our ankles, our toes, everything kind of a straight line, straight up the body. We're going to keep that hip anchored just like we did in our chair. And we're going to take our opposite arm overhead and do a gentle reach towards the side. Keeping this arm long, keeping the energy going out, 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 out. More that you're reaching almost towards the corner of the room, the ceiling, rather than thinking about reaching towards the floor. Reaching long and bringing it back up. Other side. You can play with where you want your head. You might want to keep it neutral here. You can bring it up, or you can look down towards the floor. But whatever you do, keep that neck nice and long. Don't let your chin kind of crunch down into your shoulder, but imagining that not only are your fingers reaching for that corner of the ceiling, so is the crown of your head. And bring it up. Other side. One more time each side. From here, I would encourage everyone to try to look up past their elbow. And back to neutral. Last one. Looking up. And bringing it back. Take another deep breath. We're going to walk ourselves back into a flat back just to give your spine a little bit of length and stretch after everything we've been doing. Okay, I'm going to tilt this back down so you can see more of me. Pardon all of the adjusting. From here, hands on the back of the chair, you're going to walk your feet back until you've reached a flat back. I'm going to give you the same spiel that I give every week. You want to make sure that your hips are in line with your knees and your ankles, and not that you have pushed back past where your heels and your knees are. You want to keep your knees soft enough that you don't feel like you're locking back into those joints. And even though we're going for a flat back, you don't want to release your lower back and kind of let your tailbone stick up towards the ceiling. In some instances, people might ask you to do that. I'm going to ask you to keep your abdominals engaged instead. And keep this nice long spine, thinking about the crown of your head and your tailbone moving in opposite directions. Take another deep breath. And one more. Walking the feet back in. From here, we're going to take one step back with either foot. I'm going to start with my right, about a foot's length behind your other foot. You need to bend that front knee. Now again, this is not a lunge to get some sort of deep muscular work. This is a lunge for a stretch. So shifting this knee or bending this knee is going to let your pelvis shift forward, but rather than tilting into it, you're really going to think about keeping upright and keeping your tailbone down towards the floor, keeping the front of your hip bones moving forward as if they were driving along a horizontal track or plane, so that you're getting more of a stretch in the front of this leg and your pelvis and your hip flexors. And it's less about trying to kind of deepen a lunge or get some sort of muscular workout. If you don't feel a stretch through here by doing this, you can certainly deepen the stretch a little bit. But again, think about pushing forward through the pelvis rather than leaning into this lunge. You're trying to lengthen the front of your leg. And soften the knees to step back together. Other foot. Keeping the torso upright, keeping the pelvis moving forward. Take another deep breath or two here. Softening the knees to bring us back together. All right. And let's see. We'll finish by sitting one last time. We're going to do a twist as a cool down. So this one is, we'll think of it as a little softer. Rather than being so engaged and so stretched, I just want you to take a deep breath in, reach up. Exhale, still anchoring those hips, but allowing yourself to reach for the back of the chair and your thigh and give yourself a gentle twist. Imagining that you were a light bulb that you were going to screw into the ceiling. So with this twist, your head is actually moving in and up and around to lengthen rather than twisting downward into yourself. And bring it back up. Exhale, twist. Lift through the crown of your head. Take another deep breath here. Bring it back up. Exhale, arms down. Let's do a time check. Great, perfect. So this next stretch, if you are capable of doing it, please join us. If not, certainly there are many other stretches that we have done that you can pull from, whether that be another hamstring stretch by lengthening your heel out on the floor and reaching for your toe, or dropping one thigh off the side of the chair to get more of a stretch through the front of your hip. But we're going to do a figure 4 stretch, which I realize not everyone can always get their foot up into their lap. I'm well on my way. You're going to scoop this knee in and up. Take your ankle across. And from here, at first, just let the weight of gravity pull this leg open. If you want to give a little gentle pressure to the thigh, not right on the knee, but the thigh, to help open it a little further, you can. And if you'd like to, leaning forward into it as if you're going to lay your chest in the floor in front of you, rather than collapsing over. Leaning forward into that to give you a nice little stretch back here in your piriformis and your glutes. Take a deep breath here. One more. Bringing yourself back up. Scooping that knee back up and letting it fall. Other leg. Bringing it in and up. Crossing it over. Letting gravity pull it open to begin with. Giving a little gentle pressure on the thigh. If you like, leaning forward through the chest. Keeping the spine long. One more deep breath here. Coming back up, scooping that knee up and down. We're going to end with just a few deep breaths and some stretches through the arms. Just follow along. Take a deep breath in, reach up. Exhale, push down. Inhale, open the thumbs towards the back of the room. Exhale, wrap them around, reach for your shoulder blades as if they were handles you could hold on to. Take another deep breath here. Exhale. Clasp the hands in front of you. Pull your chest away from your hands. So pulling your sternum away from your hands. Take a deep breath. Coming back. This time sending the hands towards the chair behind you, the chest up towards the ceiling. Taking a deep breath in, reach up, or look up. Bringing it back. One more time, deep breath in, reach up. Pressing the palms together, drawing them down, sending the thumbs back and open. Crossing them across. Taking a deep breath in. Sending the chest away from the hands. Taking a deep breath in. Exhaling at neutral. Deep breath in, chest reaches up to the ceiling. Exhale, bring it back down. Sitting in neutral, take one more deep breath. Continue to breathe deeply. Continue to take a moment to check in and see if you're supporting yourself in whatever way you need. Continue to drink some water, and hopefully I will be able to see at least some of you in person sooner rather than later. Stay healthy. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.